What's up YouTube, Demi here with another build guide. This is for a non-crit Elementalist Glacial Cascade Miner. As many of you may not know, they reworked Glacial Cascade in 3.0 to swap it from a cold and physical damage spell to a pure physical damage spell that comes with inbuilt physical damage converted to cold damage, right? They also gave it radius, which gave it a little bit more AoE. But you can combine this skill along with the Helm enchant to convert the rest of the physical into cold damage, so you get a 100% cold damage spell, right? And then I use Hatred and Discipline. Hatred gives me fizz damage as extra cold, so I just have this huge damage cold skill, which I then get way too much cold penetration on, so without anything I'm at 59%. When I use Flame Dash, because of Elementalist, I go up to 84%. And then when I use the Wise Oak Bismuth Flask, I go up to 115% cold pen. If you had the Penetration Boot enchant, you could go up to 125% increased cold penetration. Which sounds like a waste, right? But if you imagine an enemy that normally has 25% cold res, which is probably about average for endgame maps, you penetrate all of that and then you deal 100% more damage, which is a lot. So we'll do a quick map for you real quick. This is your standard average shaped strand T11 map. Fairly rippy mods, but that's okay. But it's basically you run around, you lay mines, you delete enemies. It's pretty fun. You could potentially make this crit. I opted for the non-crit version for Elementalist. As you can see, we got some decent pro lifts still. What's that? Oh, are those the blade gloves? I don't know. But the pro lift doesn't do nearly as much as it used to, sadly, because of the removal of double dipping. But it's fairly safe. You have pretty massive AoE. You can more or less just play as a ranged character. You kind of just point your mines toward the enemies, and they will attack that direction, or cast in that direction, sorry. And all I really gotta do is keep up my Flame Dash every once in a while, because of the Elementalist passive, or if you use a fire skill in the last 4 seconds recently, you get that extra cold pen. So that's the only reason I'm using Flame Dash randomly. Yeah, it's a little bit of a movement skill, but you don't really need it. So it's immune to a reflect because you are a miner. You don't do the hitting, your mines do. Just get to like enjoy yourself running around. I am actually dual curse because I have a +1 curse, I have Chula, but you don't need that. I'm using both the curses for defensive purposes, like I have Temp Chains and Enfeeble, because I feel like my damage is fine. I'm not going to use offensive curses. You could potentially use Frostbite and Ellie Weakness if you wanted the extreme damage. So you can see the kind of how little the burn does now. It used to like insta-kill packs last league, which was pretty funny. Nice. Divine Vessel. But yeah, you can make this character fairly budget. You just need a bunch of ES gear. If you want to make a life-based version, I will include the tree for a life-based character in the description of this video. And I'll have this tree as well. Yeah, I really enjoy Glacial Cascade. It's always been like one of my favorite spells, and the rework lets you get a lot more damage just due to the fact that you have access to Hatred. I just like the way it looks, dude. The new AoE is pretty fucking dumb. A little bit like, you know, relatively not super fast clear speed, but that's okay. As you can see, we do regen a little bit. I have Zealot's Oath, along with my boot enchant, and a little bit of regen from the tree, just to give us a little bit of extra defensive layer. It's not a lot of regen, but it definitely helps a lot against little tiny hits, especially as a energy shield based character with no leech. I'll take that little bit of extra defense. Alright, there's the map clear. Let's go ahead and do the skill tree, Ascendancies and all that stuff. So your Ascendancies that I chose, I mainly want to grab Mastermind of Discord. This is the penetration one that we talked about earlier. If you use a fire skill in the past, oh sorry, it's 10 seconds, not 4 seconds. It's past 10 seconds. So you have 10 seconds of cold pen every time you use Flame Dash. The charge time is 3 seconds, so you can always have this buff up all the time, which is a huge amount of penetration. You also get elemental damage and AoE that like rotates. It's a pretty cool effect, along with some attack and cast speed alley damage. And then for the other ones, I went towards Shaper of Desolation. This is what gives you the Conflux effect. Can I get rid of this stuff? This right here. So all of my damage shocks, chills, and ignites for 2 seconds out of every 12 seconds. It's like a rotating thing. and you basically just get free shocks, free ignites, free freezes, and then sometimes you get all three at once, which is just good. And then I also have the Beacon of Ruin effect, which effectively gives me elemental proliferation, which spreads the ailments that I inflict on enemies to things that are in a circle around them. And that area is scaled by your area on the tree and whatnot. So this is the CI tree as of 3.0. You go through all of the energy shield nodes, you grab the area damage, area skills, because Glacial Cascade is an area skill. Spell AoE cold, grab jewel sockets, flask effect duration, and flask effect, that's mostly for the wise oak. And then we grab chaos inoculation, and then like a bunch of mind damage stuff. Detonating mines is instant, very important, lots of mind damage, energy shield, life regen here, spell damage, energy shield, mind damage. This is a lot of mind damage for 2 points. Your average node is about 15% mind damage. This is 2 points for 44% mind damage. That's really good. Then we head down here to grab the mine cluster over here. This gives you another 10% elemental penetration, along with traps cannot be damaged, or sorry, mines cannot be damaged for 5 seconds after being placed. And then a good amount of mine laying speed, mine damage. Another jewel socket. Head down into Scion for a jewel socket, some mana regen, because mines take a lot of fucking mana. My mana costs 140, so I need a fair amount of mana to be able to cast that a couple times. Then we get some more mine damage over here. We get Foresight, we get another jewel socket, we get elemental overload because we are non-crit. This is just 40% more elemental damage, whatever you crit recently, and I have a setup in the gems to trigger this randomly. Lots of ES here, more cast speed, more cast speed. And then we head into Templar to pick up some spell damage, some attack and cast speed, life regen, ES, mana, reduced mana cost of skills, and then all of the Templar area damage, more elemental damage, jewel sockets, ES, and then your aura reservation nodes. This allows you to have enough mana after using hatred and discipline to actually be able to cast. And Zealot's Oath for the life regen is applied to energy shield instead. I have 225 life regen, or ES regen, currently, which is not a lot, and then I also have an additional 2% from my boots when I'm hit recently, so that puts it up to like 500-ish regen. That's a decent amount. Your jewel sockets, there's actually a ton of modifiers that can scale your Glacial Cascade. You have spell damage while dual wielding, cold damage, physical damage, because that scales the phys damage before it converts. You can get area damage, generic damage, and then I also go for, or you can get mind damage as well. I also go for a bunch of cast speed, because I'm moving a lot based off of my cast speed, right? My lightning warp, my flame dash, those are like my main movement skills, so I don't really need that much damage on my jewels. I also want cast speed. So my jewels look something like this. Spell damage, cold damage, and cast speed. Phys damage, cast speed, area damage. Spell, physical, cast speed, physical, cast speed, area. This is cast speed with fire skills, so that only affects my flame dash. If it was generic cast speed, it would affect both, ideally. And then our last jewel socket, we have spell, physical, ES, and energy shield, or ES and attack and cast speed, sorry. If you were to prioritize energy shield on your jewels, you would actually be able to achieve a lot higher ES than I currently have. You could also just have a shield in your offhand instead of another weapon, and then you go for spell damage or holding a shield, cast speed or holding a shield instead of dual wielding. That would give you a lot higher ES. If you're in a league and you want to play this as a CI character, I definitely recommend using a shield, because you don't have access to Legacy ES gear. As for the gear, our penetration is mainly coming from 2 Sambar Scepters. These are actually very rarely used for some reason, but they have 6% elemental penetration implicit, and if you dual wield them, you get 2 of them, so that's 12% Ele pen from just equipping 2 weapons. You can see there's penetration drops to 47%. But the stat priority on these, you just go for like spell damage, cold damage, and cast speed. It's like the only things you really need. You can get mana regen on these, you can get like added lightning to spells, added cold to spells, that sort of stuff. Mine are actually set up for PvP, so I'm not even using good weapons for this. If you wanted to, you could also just use like Doriani's Catalyst or something along those lines, or 2 good wands. It doesn't matter that much. Only required unique that I'm using is Eye of Chayula. This is your stun immunity. If you don't use this, you're not going to be stun immune, so you're going to have to like either go all the way the fuck down here, or wear Calm's Roots, or maybe you could wear a Valerium, the unique ring that gives stun immunity. Or, not stun immunity, it gives you a chance to be stunned based on your energy shield instead of life. So that's your unique. If you want to, you can wear Death's Door with the bleed immunity. If you don't have access to these, just wear rare boots, rare ES boots, get as much ES as you can. And then the rest of the gear is just energy shield gear, right? So you have ES helm, ES chests, ES belt, ES glove, ES rings. And then you just get your stats resistances on those slots and you'll be fine. Gem links. So the main 6 link is Glacial Cascade Remote Mine. This allows you to convert that spell into a mine. And then I have a minefield support, so I can place 3 at a time. So you see I placed 1 and it gives me 3 mines. So that means when I lay all of my mines, I can have up to 9 at once. And if I detonate those, I'm hitting with 9 casts at once, which is why the mana cost is so high, because you're effectively casting 3 times per mine. Then the other links, you have Control Destruction, Cold Penetration, and Trap and Mine Damage. These are both more multipliers, and then you obviously you want to get that Cold Pen, so that's that. Movement skills. Actually, this is your castle damage taken setup. This is what triggers your Elemental Overload if you've crit recently, the more elemental damage stuff. It's castle damage taken Ice Spear. Ice Spear has a massive boosted crit in the second form, so when it pierces things, that second stage has a ridiculously high crit strike chance. Which means that if something's tagging you, which things hit you all the time, you'll be using Ice Spear GMP to hit the rest of the stuff behind it, and it will give you LE Overload for the damage boost. Another castle damage taken setup down here. We got Frost Bomb. This gives enemies negative 20% cold resistance no matter what level it is, so low level one's fine. I also have it linked to Immortal Call for that Fizz mitigation burst and Detonate Mines. This is kind of a weird setup that I use personally. It's like whenever you take a teeny hit, 500 damage or so, you detonate the mines you have placed, which means you don't have to actually use your Detonate Mines button. You can just like let things hit you. Like if you're in a boss fight, you don't really want to have to spend time to press that button. If things are hitting you, your mines are going to be detonating automatically. You don't have to do much, which is a nice little quality of life thing that I've discovered. I like it. Other movement skills, we have your Lightning Warp, Faster Casting with Rapid Decay, Swift Affliction, and Lustration. Lightning Warp is a duration skill and a movement skill, so it scales off your movement speed, your cast speed, and this duration of the actual like effect. So without these two things, you see how it's like kind of slow? If you cut the duration down with 2 of these, it's a lot faster. And obviously faster casting makes the initial animation of you like raising up your hand, it makes that shorter. I have these in Legacy Attack and Cast Speed gloves. Definitely not needed. I rarely use Lightning Warp anyways, so it's just like a thing that you can use if you want. If you're wearing just normal rare gloves, get the most ES you can, get as much resistances as you can. Other links, I have a casting damage taken Enfeeble, Temporal Chains, and Frost Wall. This is like my defensive setup. Frost Wall pushes them away and creates a barrier, so if they're shooting projectiles, they can't shoot through them at me. And then I have my 2 curses in here because of my +1 curse amulet. If you don't have a +1 curse amulet, just take out the temporal chains and put something else there. And then random other setups, we got a Flame Dash, Faster Casting, and a Portal skill. That's just to keep up your penetration buff from Mastermind of Discord. Then in my 2 links, I have Discipline and Hatred. If you don't have unset rings, you can just put these over here and like not use Portal and not use Faster Casting. It wouldn't be that big of a difference. You could also link them to Enlighten if you wanted a little bit higher mana pool. It's totally up to you. I believe that's everything. Oh, right, Flasks. Sorry, Flasks. The only flask you really care about is the Wise Oak. And you want to make sure that your cold resistance before flasking is higher in the cold area. That gives you cold penetration if you have this number being highest. So like, when I use my 2 elemental flasks, I have 243% cold prevents, which means that I gain that cold penetration because it's like, whichever is your highest uncapped resistance, that's the parentheses, that will give you penetration for that element. So if you wanted Fire Pen, you would max Fire. If you wanted Cold, you max Cold. If you wanted Lightning, you max Lightning. It doesn't have to be as high as mine, obviously. It just has to be 1% higher than the other ones. So get that, and you will take, or you will gain the Cold penetration every time you flask. Other flasks, kind of up to you. I highly recommend a Quicksilver. I recommend a Freeze Flask because you are CI, and I recommend some other flask. If you didn't have Death's Doors, this should be a Bleed Flask, and then a Mana Pot with something along those lines of recovery speed because mines take a lot of mana, and we don't have any Mana Leech, so you need to have a Mana Pot, which kind of sucks, but like whatever. But yeah, I think that's everything. I would recommend a Crystal Belt over a Rustic Sash, although the Fizz damage does scale the base damage of Glacial Cascade, which is good, but if you're struggling for ES, use a Crystal Belt. But yeah, I think that's this character. I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, both the links for skill trees will be in the description below. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, check out my other build guides. I post a ton of them, as well as just come and hang out on Twitch. I stream almost every day. So I'll see you guys in the next video. That'll be Demi out.